difference between augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality. It is a range of experiences. On one hand, we have virtual reality, which is a total immersive experience where you put on a headset and you are disconnected from your environment. Everything you see and interact is a 3D generated object. And on the other hand, for augmented reality, you have a connection to your environment, like in HoloLens, and you have some extra information, maybe 3D or maybe audio information that's available to you, which is augmenting your reality. Also, we have mobile phone applications like Pokemon Go. You are looking through the glass of your phone and you're able to find 3D objects in the real world. And this whole range of experiences we call mixed reality. And short, it's called XR.
Hello and welcome. It's day 3 of the Global XR Conference. If you are just starting day 3, you are welcome here. And if it is the end of a long day, you almost made it, but we have an exciting session coming up. So I have the privilege to introduce Ragnar DiMarzo, and he's going to talk a little bit about his work in filmmaking and as a 3D artist, the topic of reinventing the magic of cinema in virtual reality. So let's welcome him in now.
Hey, hello everyone. Thanks to letting me be here. Well, I have a past as a film director, and I have made 3 feature films and written 8 scripts. And in the last years, I had quite a hard time to find funds to make films. So I had a kind of a crisis, and then I found Blender. And Blender gave me a completely new dimension of filmmaking. So instead of trying to find funds to make a film and write a script, I could start making the film directly in Blender. And that was a really wow experience for me. If one looks back at the magic of cinema, if one thinks in the 50s, when one was a film director or wrote a script, one could identify oneself with the viewer, with the audience. One knew that the film was supposed to be shown in a cinema, in a big cinema. It was dark, no distractions. Later on, everything has been fragmentized. So now you can see it in a mobile phone, streaming, in all kinds of ways, and that's good. But when you're having a concept, writing an idea of a film, is much harder to identify yourself with the viewer, because the viewer can be anywhere in any kind of situation. What I believe now that with virtual reality is a kind of a new golden age, because when you have a virtual reality set on your head, you have no distractions, no mobile phones. You can sometimes, when I had parties, I could show my latest film and there was music, everyone was speaking in the other room. But when you have your virtual reality set, you are completely immersed. And that is really fantastic, really, really. So then the next question is, what can film give to virtual reality? What can virtual reality give to film? I believe film in virtual reality is a completely new medium where we have to explore how we can make storytelling and use this immersion in new ways. So And and how do you do that? There are quite a lot of different ways to do, and very expensive ways to do. So when I discovered Blender, I realized that with a 3D program, you build the set, you have a camera, you have a lighting, you use chroma key, you have a few actors, and you have a completely freedom to make a film. And what is good with Blender, that if you use, you can make it in stereoscopic virtual reality, 360 degrees, without any, you just press some buttons and now it's in stereoscopic. So that's quite crazy. And now I'm going to show you, I've done three virtual reality films, 6-7 minutes each, and this is my fourth, the missing party. And when I make a film, I want to take reference from the film world. So there is the reference of film in the film, but it's not supposed to be a classic film. So in this missing party, we see a street, we see a street, and we see a cinema, really kind of 50s. We see posters of what is going to happen. There's a group in a pool party which are going to disappear in the pool. So, and then afterwards we will go in, we will be inside the movie, the film cinema theater, and we see the film. But what the next step, the part 2, is that the camera will go inside the screen. So we are on the other side, and then we are in this garden with this house. We hear the sounds, and the whole cinema has disappeared. So we have a 360-degree cinema, and we see the record players playing. They have left glasses, but nobody's there. They have all left at the pool, and the camera goes to the pool, and then goes inside the pool, and inside the pool you have a third dimension, a third part, and then we are out in space, and we have this roller coaster in virtual reality, and we see a planet with crystals, and we go there in a completely psychedelic sensation. So this is how I try to combine, start from a classic way to then in the end feel the power of virtual reality. David, you can maybe put the first. So I'm going to show you the first minute. The sound is not completely finished, but this is the first minute of the new film. Okay, thanks there. No, okay. So, this is in work in progress. The sound is not finished and so on. And now I'm going to tell about my workflow. So, in the center is trying to understand Blender, how it works. When I started with Blender, you don't understand anything, and there's a lot of things you can do, animation and a lot. But I knew quite soon what I really wanted to master, and it is how does this camera work? How does the lighting work? And how do you make the scenography? So I show, let's say, from my first experience with Blender, because before my virtual reality films, I have done 7 shorts with Blender, is trying to have a concept, an artistic concept every time. So something quite, strange in what I like to really is exploring something. And then understand how to make it with Blender. So there is this learning factor. And what is very good with Blender, there's an extremely good community. The community, I knew nothing of a 3D program, but there are so many tutorials. So so I really started learning and slowly mastering how to make shapes and how materials, the magic of materials. How you can so every project was a step also of learning how to get to understand how to use Blender. And here I would like to put the point that as long as one does not search for photorealistic image, then it's much easier to create, because as long as if it does not mean to be realistic, then you have a lot. It gets much more easy, because as soon as you want to make realistic, photorealistic, everything must be perfect. If not, you lose the illusion. So, but then there's one more thing here. When you think about virtual reality, I jump from one thing to the other, is I knew already from the beginning that I want the viewer to be passive. So it's the viewer stays, and it's my camera which will go around and show what will happen. And that, I think, is also one thing which we see will give us a lot of possibilities for exploration. How can we, this camera, which now is not the viewer with a flat screen, but the camera can show you everything around you and underneath up. So how will we use this artistically? So, so the next step is, when you have a concept, trying to with Blender to make my scenery and so on, is the step to how to make it to be a film. And these films which are on YouTube, these are rendered image. And the rendered image, so a film of 6 minutes is 13,000 image. And that is quite impossible to make at home. It will take me 1 year if you have to do one image at a time. But then I found Render Street in Bucharest. They have a really, really independent artist friendly subscription model. So for $100 a month, I can send my project and slowly get my picture back. And then when I have all my pictures, I will then work with the sound. when this is 1 minute film I showed you is the flat screen version, because I make two versions. One which is a flat screen, so you can look at it much easier, because not everyone has a virtual reality set on them. And the other is a 360-degree stereoscopic version, which you can find if you go to YouTube. You will see both versions. There. Let's see here. So back to the filmmaker, which has an idea, wants to make a film, and tries to find sponsoring and meetings and pitching and trying to working on finding a set. And that is one way to do it. But this way, which I started to learn with Blender, is more like a painter or like a writer. I do everything by myself. And it gives it's a completely different way to make film. It is, but it's more every time I have an idea, and then, well, I'll try it. I don't need to ask permission or discuss the script with anyone. And it is it gives a big freedom feeling. That's true. That's for sure. Then, so my workflow is that from idea, trying with Blender, to getting the project, and then sending it to Render Street, and then having it back, and then make the sounds. So I use Final Cut for the sound mixing, and there also I discovered that there's a lot of sounds you can buy, cheap music and so on, and get all the rights. So there's also an enormous library of sounds that one can use. And then I put it in YouTube, and then I make a new one. So this is my workflow. And I would like to show you my last film, where I have, and my last film, that was my reference was Stanley Kubrick, The Monolith. And I wanted to, my challenge with that one was that I wanted to get the sensation of this barren moon, and the second part, an intimate relation with a statue of which is from Michelangelo, and in a small room in space, and afterwards get the sensation of nature, and which have a reference of Tarkovsky, which gives mysterious nature. Now, this one is on YouTube, so I'll see if I can put it on. Let's see here, David. Yeah. How do I put it on here? Blair.
Yeah, so I'd shared the screen. So if you go to that YouTube tab,
I'm on YouTube now. Okay, yes,
you
I
press
should
play
go there.
and make it full screen as well.
Yeah, now I have it. Let's see here.
There we go.
Yes, thank you. Yes, so you see the story is not so conventional. It's more like scenes from the unconscious, but where I want to create this atmosphere. And then if one is interested to do more these kinds of films, which are not so conventional as script and so on, then this kind of work, my workflow, doing everything by yourself, works quite well. What I had something in mind. I forgot. Well, but it's quite fun, I must say, too. And let's see. Yes, Blair, help me out now.
That was really great. I loved being able to see your films. And actually, while I was there, I went through and looked at the 360 version as well.
Okay.
I think one of the most exciting things that you mentioned was this ability to essentially create two different versions. Now, the way you described it, it sounded very easy. Is it as easy as it sounds?
Well, fact, it's easier than one would think. And I think, yes, I'm getting quite ambitious now with that. But if one look at the beginning, I really worked with a glass floor and some pictures and in blended planes and lighting. So you're really supposed to start with an easier concept. But once you have an easier concept and you have a more like a theater, or and you start knowing how to do it, then you take next step. So it's not so hard. I'd say let's say it's not easier to go and pitching and trying to get funds. So all the time, all the energy you give on that, oh yes, I know really. How did I do this? Because I really learned this by 1 hour a day. Because when I started Blender, so I work now full time in an insurance company. So, but I start at 12 o'clock noon. So in the mornings, I used to have 1 or 2 hours learning Blender. But doing that for 1 hour a day goes quite quickly. So and also this 1 hour a day, you always especially in the beginning, even now, you're blocked, something does not really work, and you really don't understand why, and you go to forums and try tutorials, try to understand why. But this 1 hour a day, every day, your brain knows, okay, I did not find the answer now, but I will find it tomorrow. Sometimes it took me 10 days to find the answer. But so this 1 hour a day is, I think, a really magic thing. I don't hear you.
Yes. So I'm going to ask a difficult question.
Yes.
So my work and my session was about live performance in this space, and I am often asked why something has to be live. And through my work, I've discovered actually it doesn't always have to be live, but there does have to be an embodiment of that feeling for the person who is watching. So you mentioned the idea of the camera and having a fixed plane or having a 360 plane to look at. Is there any future version of your work where there is some level of interactivity? Because one of the things about watching something in 360 or getting in a headset is the immediate impulse to have control over your view and your actions and in your engagement.
It's a very good question. Yeah, and I followed your session there. It was for 1 hour ago. That's very interesting. But I would say, like, I learn a technique. So I have learned, but then as a film director, I try to put myself in the viewer, but I want the viewer. No, there is no interactivity. Yeah, the viewer understand this is from the beginning. Okay, this time I can't decide, but I have to be nice to the viewer. I try to be not too, but no. So yes, I think there will be a lot of kind of virtual reality, and I like to play much games. I play video games and so on, and I like that. But here, no. Oh, it's your music.
Oh, just one moment. There you are. I think it's your YouTube in the background. On the
Okay, I'm
channel.
sorry.
No worries. Yeah. So I understand. Yeah, there's definitely opportunity for there to be so many different types of ways for people to engage in virtual reality. So my last question for you is, what is your next project? What are you working on?
It's the one that I showed you in the beginning.
You're going to continue with that?
It is the one with the pool.
Yeah.
We missed everyone. And I wanted to build with, when one sees the posters, that one starts to create an idea of a film. But then when one is at the pool and one is at the garden. The first one sees one is in a movie seat and sees the film, and then the camera goes inside and other side, and we are in the garden.
So it seems like even though you are a filmmaker who's thinking about using the tool, these tools to make a film, there's still a little bit of inspiration from the virtual reality world, and this idea of going into the screen and different worlds.
Because it's important. Is how will filmmakers explore virtual reality? So what ideas does it give you to give the viewer a completely new experience? Because it's supposed to be completely new.
Yes.
Because it's such a new medium. So we have to explore there. So that's why I start quite in the beginning very conventional, to then end when you are in space and you see this and you feel this feeling of virtual reality. So yes. So absolutely, but not. You cannot move. You don't decide the viewer. That's the only thing.
Yes. There's a question from the audience. So, is there a VR platform to watch those movies, or just YouTube?
Yes, Facebook. There's Facebook and virtual, and YouTube is really good. I put them there. There is.
Because YouTube has
there are some. I have put
YouTube has a VR app, and if you have a 360 video on YouTube, you can hit view in 360, and that will open it up so that you can move around. You can move
yes, you
head.
can. Yes, on YouTube you have this trim, but I don't like it if it's a flat screen to move around.
Yeah.
But if you have your headset, you just go to YouTube and Ragnar Dimas as you found it.
And there are other platforms I know that post VR films, a couple of studios, and so I'm sure there are ways if somebody wants to submit videos, you can do that. The second part was, how do you monetize your films?
I don't.
You don't.
I don't make them.
Not yet.
Everything
not
is open
ever.
source. No, because it's impossible. The problem is, I learned now that it's very hard to be one foot and the other. Either you try to monetize, try to get the money for it, or you just say, no, let me just flow with my imagination, and it's all open source. And I think I will continue like this, because it's more like I do something else to get for my living.
That's so true of almost everything right now in this space. If you have to monetize it, you fall into very specific categories of large games or working for Facebook. Yes. But if you want to just create with people, you can create so many amazing things. So you just need a little bit of free time, and the tools are there. Like you said, 1 hour a day, and you can learn. I was doing a project, and I learned Blender just for this project to figure out how to import a 3D object and put it in a file type and that's just something I learned on the job. So I'll leave a little bit of time for any other questions that folks want to get in at the last minute. But while we wait, is there something you would like to say as sort of a final thought? About this topic.
All this is fantastic. I mean, how you global Excel conference, how you have organized it, how you can share films, either audio, speak with you, people listening. So we are living a very fantastic times. We maybe don't do much money, all of us, but so what? We are having a lot of fun.
Like I said in my session, we're living in the future. We're in the future right now. We don't even realize it.
Yes, it's now.
Well,
and I think, can I say one more thing?
Yes, yeah.
When you once in the beginning of the 20th century, with the airplanes were made of wood, these crazy people drew and tried these airplanes with wings. The old ones with motor, with strings and so on. It was a crazy time. Now you fly in weird planes and so on. This is about the same with virtual reality. We are in the beginning of a period where we need to really explore all kinds of ways. That's what I wanted to say.
And where can people find your films and find you to connect?
Ragnar Di Marzo on YouTube
Okay.
or on Facebook. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I hope you have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
rest of
It
your...
was nice to have you as a moderator, and I wish you the best.
Thank you. Have a great evening. Have a great night. It must be night.
Yes.
Okay. Goodbye. Thank you, everyone.